Oh my gosh. Okay, my mic was muted. Welcome back to Life with Danie. All right, and this is Danie. It's just me by my lonesome today. And I apologize for being behind in the times and not, recording over the last couple of weeks. Life has been really busy with my new job and trying to take care of a lot of things that have been going on. So it's a lot. It gets overwhelming sometimes. So I haven't really had an opportunity to just sit down and tackle this whole recording session. But this one is one that I feel like I really, really needed to do. Um, like I know I gave a little bit of an introductory to myself, essentially, or more so to this podcast channel, but not really a solid introductory to me. And so I'm kind of gonna like I'm gonna try to dive into my story, a summarized version of it, because then I will pick it apart later and we'll discuss different topics of my story and go into those topics a little bit deeper and um, open up some dialogue and all that good stuff. But for now, this is me. So, um, Danie, I have. Where do I even start? Okay. So I was born in New Jersey. How about that? I was born in New Jersey. And I was raised by a bunch of single women, essentially. So my mother was a single mom. Both my aunts were single moms. And eventually, at some point, my sister became a single mom. My mother had me when she was almost 32 years old. And my fathered her. Oh, excuse me. See, I'm exhausted. It's been a lot lately. My parents split up when I was really little. Um, my mom was in a narcissistic relationship with my father. He was the narcissist in the situation, and um, he wasn't really much of a parent. To give you an idea, I have four other siblings from my father, and my mom has one other child, my sister that I mentioned. Um, I'm the only one that is theirs. So, they were the whole dynamic of mine, yours, and ours kind of thing. I was the ours. So I'm the baby, as far as we know, at least on my mother's end of things. I am the baby. We don't know about my dad. We don't know if he's got anything else going on out there in the world. Um, but yeah, so I'm the combo baby. I'm the one who brought everybody together essentially. Um, so I've got two brothers and two sisters from my dad. Whew. And then I have a sister from my mom. Okay. My father has five children with three different women. My mom has two with two men. No big deal, right? Like, who cares? Like, that's life. It happens, you know? But my mom got really tired of my dad's crap pretty early. I mean, he wasn't the most reliable person. He didn't really want to work very much. He would have rather been smoking weed than, stepping up and being a father and a husband. And it wasn't just to me, it was to all five of us. Like, six of us, if you want to get real. He wasn't a participating father in any of our lives. Um, he wasn't very nice to my sister. He picked on her. Um, was mean to her, tried to pick fights with her and stuff like that. So, my mom, being my mom, very much so protect your child. You live for your child. If you're going to have children, that's your priority. Da 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 da. Which I am the same mindset as her when it comes to that, as is my sister. That's how my mom raised us, and that's how we are. And we don't understand any other way because you always protect your child, especially from your spouses. If you're going to marry somebody with children, you should learn to love the children as well at some point in your life, right? Like you can't just disregard the child. And my father was not nice to my sister. So between that, his laziness, his drug use, etc., etc., my mom had enough. And so she left him when I was pretty young. Um, so like I said, I was raised by a single mom. Um, but both my aunts were also single moms, you know, around the same time as her. Like all three of them had children, boom, 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 right after each other. And they all ended up as single moms of these kids. My sister, my two cousins. 15 years after my sister, here comes me. And again, my mom's a single mom because, you know, my dad's a douche. What can you do? So anyway, there's that. Um, so I end up raised by these strong, independent women who bust their asses working every day and all that stuff. One of my aunts, unfortunately, has a drinking problem. So she actually had not had custody of my cousin for a while, and it was understandable. Um, it just wasn't a healthy option for him. He was under the custody of his father, but um, his father was the type to choose his spouse over him. And that cousin of mine is autistic, and in a situation like that, like you have to put your all into that child. And my cousin was not getting all of that from him. Of course, he got all of that from us because, my mom made sure that my aunt and, well, both my aunts and myself and my cousins and my sister and all that we all, spent time with him as much as possible because we wanted him to be around his family. And eventually my aunt got him back, and he's an adult now. He's in his 50s and he lives with her full time. My other aunt, my Aunt Carolyn, she has a son as well, and he's self sufficient. He's married with children. Um, but my Aunt Carolyn had ALS, much like my grandmother, their mother. And, so ALS is a horrible disease, and we'll get into that another day. But yeah. So, and then I have an uncle. He also likes to drink, but he's also very unsociable and stays away from everybody. Like, lives in the same state as us right now and chooses to live really far away now. But before, he lived like 2 miles down the road, and we hadn't seen him, and we still haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in 13 years, which, I mean, it's fine by me. I'm not sad about it. But that's, again, a story for another day. So yeah, so that's the family piece of things and how I grew up. But when my grandparents passed away when I was 9, my mother was like, you know what? she got laid off and she was like, what do I do now? Like, what should we do with ourselves? Where should we go? And she decided to ask me, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in New Jersey or do you want to go move to Arizona? Because we'd come to Arizona a few times to visit her best friend who moved here when I was born in 83, I guess. I don't know. But we had visited here numerous times and I loved it. And so she's like, you want to stay in Jersey? Do you want to move to Arizona? And I was like, shoot, let's go. Like, what are we going to stay in New Jersey for? It's cold, but I was 9. What did I know? But still, um, I don't like to be cold. So, you know, Arizona was looking pretty good to me. So we moved to Arizona in 94. We've been here ever since. And grew up here, went to high school, did the whole thing. I actually met my ex-husband in high school. Well, right before high school. I did um this summer school pre-algebra program between 8th grade and freshman year of high school that they offered to us to kind of prepare us for algebra. And so while I was there doing that, I met him. And, he became friends with my boyfriend at the time. Um, and we all became friends, whatever. And next thing you know it, like my boyfriend and I break up and my ex-husband starts swooping on in since freshman year. Um, so we were on and on again, off again throughout our high school years and stuff. And then we came together in late 2002. It was literally December of 2002 that we got together. We met up and we decided to hang out and stuff. And then we were dating, and then got married months later, literally months later. Um, and by December of 2003, we were parents of a beautiful, gorgeous little girl, a preemie. And then we, waited a couple of years and we had another gorgeous little girl in 2006. It's about 2.5 years later. Um, and so that was July of 2006. Yeah. But then, life goes on and the relationship just wasn't good. It was not good. It, it became very toxic. And, it was me at home with 2 babies by myself constantly 24/7, unless his mom, my mom, my sister, or my best friend came and picked me up. Um, but I was home alone with these 2 babies day in and day out and cleaning and cooking and cleaning up after a tornado toddler and or a hurricane really. Like I used to call her a hurricane and then a hurricane actually hit and it was named after her. So, yeah, I was like, I should probably stop calling her that, but it is what it is, right? But anyway, so yeah, so 5 years or 4.5 years after we got married, I called it quits. I couldn't I couldn't do it anymore. I was constantly getting belittled and not being supported. And the relationship was just really sour due to some activities that he was partaking in. And I just, unfortunately, that piece of the story is going to have to be another day. And I don't know how long away from today that'll be, but it can't be now for legal reasons. But, in a couple years, maybe. I don't know. But as of right now, um, it was a toxic, toxic marriage. Very, very toxic. And I needed to get out because I needed to save my mental health and my kids' mental health, or at least try. That was my goal, was to try to preserve the mental health of my babies. I didn't want them to grow up thinking that that's a normal, healthy relationship, because it's not. It wasn't. It was so unhealthy. And I was not happy. And no child should ever see their parents unhappy, especially on the level that I was. It just, it was not good. So I left that marriage and I too became a single parent. Um, Several months after my divorce was finalized, though, like our divorce wasn't finalized for about 5 months after I filed and left. So, um, so we're talking in 2000, December of 2007 is when my divorce was finalized. March of 2008, I started dating somebody that I had met once before, but didn't really have much interaction with. It was at like a dinner party type of thing. I know, weird. Like, we were in our 20s and having dinner parties with our friends. But anyway, bougie. But we were at a dinner party, and I vaguely remembered him because I just, there weren't very many of us there. But I was also pregnant at the time. So, like, obviously, I wasn't looking at this guy like, oh, hey, I want to date him. No, I was married and pregnant, and I had a toddler. Like, that was the last thing that I was thinking about at all. Um, but then when I met up with him again a few months later, I guess he had been asking about me or whatever. And so we met up, we decided to go out and hang out and stuff. And we ended up like really hitting it off. And so we were together for about a year and a half, though. About a year of us, a year after we started dating, he proposed to me. We were engaged. We weren't together that long, but long enough afterwards. And then he decided about 2 days after my birthday that it was time to call it quits. He didn't want to be with me anymore. Come to find out, he's having conversations with my supposed best friend. It was a different person than the last best friend. That best friend stuck around in my life for a while, but this particular person, who's nothing to me now, I later found out that she did have an affair on her husband with this guy that I was engaged to. And the two of them, after she had left her husband, were having conversations and stuff, like, about me and everything. And I don't know. But that's, again, another story for another day that I will pick apart later on in life. Needless to say, something was going on. I still, till this day, don't know exactly what was going on, but all of a sudden he broke up with me. And now he's married with 2 children to somebody else. And that's, yeah, that one's funny. Not like in a snarky way. It's just kind of, it's funny because I'm actually the one who called that one. but, but yeah, like, good for them. Like, glad they're happy and all that. it wouldn't have worked out between him and I because he's not somebody who's capable of being faithful. I'll just say that. But anyway, so years go on. I tried dating on and off and stuff. And I started to realize like nobody wants me for me. Like they wanted other things, but they didn't want me. They didn't want the emotional side of me. They didn't want the ADHD side of me, which undiagnosed ADHD is so much fun. Um, but they just didn't want that side of me that makes me who I am. The loving person that I am, the person who works hard to show love to the people that I care about and stuff. Um Nobody wanted that. They wanted they wanted the me that looks good in certain places but not where it matters. If that makes sense. And so I was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to date. Like I don't want to do this. I don't have any interest in it. It's I'm not benefiting from it. And I'm constantly in a position where I'm feeling uncomfortable because I'm being talked about or talked to in such a way that is just, I'm not an object, but I was feeling like one. I really, really was. I was totally feeling like an object. And I got really tired of that feeling. So I stopped dating, continued on with my life, went through different jobs because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was doing retail, I was doing banking, all these things. But I also had gone to school to become a cosmetologist. And so I am, in fact, a licensed cosmetologist, which I'm very happy that I am. It is something that I love to do, and I'm in that career path now. However, prior to this, I was not because I had two children that I was taking care of for the most part by myself. I mean, I had help from my mom and my sister, and occasionally I would have help from my in laws, but that help was very, very limited. Um, but I didn't know what I wanted to do because I couldn't do a whole lot, if that makes sense. My kids, like I said, I tried so hard to protect them in the mental health world, but some people made it impossible for me. And so I had to be there for them. I had to be there for them a lot, a whole lot. Um in ways that I never imagined I'd have to be. I always thought, I'd have well-behaved children who understood the rules and regulations of things. And no, I raised strong minded young women who have a voice and use their voices, and people don't like that. And I tried to teach them time and place and respect and all of those things. And holy crap, like there are days where I'm like, where's the filter? I taught you time and place and filter. Ugh. But this is life. This is girl mom life. Like it's just, they are who they are. And I've come to accept it. And so because I came to accept it, I had to rearrange my entire life for them. And that's what we do as parents. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're intended to do, is rearrange our lives to accommodate our children. That's the job of a parent. So it's what I did. And so I had to give up my dream. Um, to take care of them, and I was fine doing that. I've always been fine doing that. And then I started doing some other stuff like volunteering to be around and available a little bit more to them, which they loved. A lot of people are like, my kids would hate it if I was around them that much. Well, my kids loved it. They flippin' loved it. Like, I volunteered and was on the board for the PTA at their school for a couple years. They loved it. They loved seeing me in the building as much as I was, because on my days off or whatever, I would go and take care of some stuff, that we needed done. If it was like distributing product for um whatever fundraiser we were doing at the time, or what, you know, I spent a lot of time there. And then, you know, our PTA, we put together a lot of events. And so we were there for all of those. And then, of course, I also decided to become a Girl Scout leader because my girls were involved in Girl Scouts. And so I decided to be their troop leader because um, Naya's troop needed she needed a new troop altogether and a leader. So I took it over. I started doing my thing and everything. I ended up creating the largest troop in our Girl Scout neighborhood in our area. We had over like 40 girls, 40 plus girls, close to 50 in our troop at one point. We had all different levels, 10 different leaders. It was crazy. It was insane, but it was awesome at the same time. And eventually I gave that up too because my girls were no longer interested. And honestly, I was burnt out. And um, at the end of our run, I started teaching preschool at the elementary schools, and then I started coaching cheer at the school, middle school cheer. And so, but I was paid to do that. So my time was very limited when it came to Girl Scouts anymore and all that other stuff. And so I started doing these other things. In the mix of all of that, I meet my current husband in 2006. Well, let me take that back. We met in, when was it? We met in 2010. We met in 2010. Um, we worked we worked for the same company. He was a driver for the company that I worked for. I worked in the retail store. He picked up from my store. So every Friday he would come in, we would chit chat. We would talk about marriage and stuff like that. He was married at the time and I was divorced. And so he was asking me about my divorce and what happened and this, that, and the other. And he would tell me scenarios about his marriage, and like I would give him advice here and there on how to handle the situation with his wife, whatever. Well, then we both stopped working for the company and we were Facebook friends for a while. Um, but we had never like met up or anything. And then in 2016, he contacts me. He's going through his divorce and he's like, "Hey, are you still doing hair?" So he asked me for a haircut for one of his sons. I came over, gave his son a haircut. We talked for a while, whatever. Then we decided to meet up with all the kids, take them bowling. We did that. That was cool. Um, he obviously was interested in me, but I was not going there because he wasn't divorced yet. And he had just been separated for like a month, maybe. And I know what that's like. And so I'm like, no, you need some time. 2 years later, we decide to meet up again. We were both involved in relationships with people. He was involved with a married woman. Yeah. So we meet up at a bar to just talk about, what happened in our failed relationships, whatever it may be. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, you need to stay away from that one. It's not a good idea. Well, I took a picture of us. I posted it on Facebook. I tagged him in it. She sees this post and shows up at said bar that we're at. And we go our separate ways afterwards, after it's all said and done. And he goes back to her. Whatever. Again, I'm not in a state of mind to be dating anyway. Like, I literally just ended a relationship. I wasn't looking for anybody. A year goes by almost, and we meet up again. And this time, like, he's single, I'm single. We're just hanging out, taking the kids and the dogs hiking and all this stuff. And next thing you know, we're dating. And 5 years. We were together for 5 years and got married. 5 years. On our 5 year anniversary, we got married. Yeah. 7 months later, he walks out on me. No real conversation. Just walks out. Tries to blame my daughters for their mental health issues. But unfortunately, what he didn't want to own up to was he was a huge contributor to their mental health issues. He wasn't the only one, but he was one. Um my daughters, so in regards to that failed marriage, or this failed marriage, I will touch more on that story, but that's how it's going right now. That's how it's going right now. In the meantime, through all of this stuff over the last 15 years, 16 years, 15, 16, 18, 19, 19 years, whatever. My daughters have gone through a lot of mental health uh, disorders and mental health breakdowns, etc. And I've been their number one through it all. Um, Even when they've hated me the most through it, I still am that number one for them, because through everything, the one thing that I want them to just keep remembering is that they're loved, and that they do have somebody that, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, is never going to turn their back on them. My daughters have spent some time in mental health facilities, behavioral health facilities. Um, they've both gone through a lot, a whole lot. And in the mix of all of that, so have I. I started showing a lot of signs of depression and anxiety after I had my first daughter. And I went through a whole lot because of that, because I was suffering through not understanding some stuff in my marriage and as a parent. And I felt very alone in it. Um, and it caused a lot of anxiety, a lot, like severe crippling anxiety, um, and depression. So I was on medication for a while there, and then when I had Naya, I had to stop taking the medication because every time I would take it when I was pregnant with her, I would end up throwing it up. Like it wouldn't stay down. And I don't know if it was me that was like in my mind going, maybe I shouldn't take this while I'm pregnant or what, but I know they say that it was safe, but I think in my mind I felt like it wasn't. So I couldn't keep it down. Stopped taking medication for several years until maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I started I started taking medication again, and then I stopped again, and I was doing a really great job of managing all of that. But then I started back up a couple years ago because I was going through a lot between my kids and their mental health, my husband's physical health, some trauma that I was working through on my own. I couldn't handle it anymore, and I started realizing that okay, like in order for me to be able to be this person that I'm trying to be right now for everybody else, I have to be better for myself. And I realized that medication was the only way to get myself through that. And so I've been on medication for about going on 2 years now, to manage my anxiety and my depression. It has helped a lot, um, in that regard, but this past year has been rough, and I've gone in waves up and down with lots of depression and anxiety, and um, trying to manage my thoughts and my feelings, along with also trying to, figure out how to manage my household and not lose my home and all kinds of things. So, my story goes on for so long, and I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of missing information. And it's because I have to summarize it right now. But when I once I start not summarizing things, it's gonna all make sense. There's gonna be a whole lot that you guys are gonna be like, whoa, holy crap, this is the stuff that she went through. This is what she's been dealing with. And this is why, like, the people who know me know who I am, know my heart, know my mind a little bit. Um, they all know that I process differently than, like I don't process the way other people do. I tend to internalize a lot of things, and I just continue. Like I don't stop what I'm doing. I usually just continue. But this last year did such a number on me. Such a number on me that I didn't know how to continue. I didn't know. And I didn't have anybody coming to me and saying, "Let's pull you out of this bullshit. This is not good." I had people around, and I had people who were supportive, but there were days where I needed somebody there with me, and I didn't have that. And I don't know how to explain it other than, you can have a million people around you and surrounding you all day, every day, and talking to you and whatever, but you can still feel 100% alone in a room full of people. And there were days where I was in a room full of people and just all by myself at the same time. And it wasn't anybody else's fault or anything. Nobody did anything to me. Well, I mean, somebody did, but not the people that I was around for the most part. Um, but honestly, even through my marriage, like I felt that way. And with my first marriage too, I felt that way because I can talk and talk and talk to these people and explain to them what is bothering me. But my problem was is that I was choosing people who were too selfish to give a shit about what was bothering me because all they cared about was them. And I took care of them and I was there for them and I gave them that ear, I gave them that shoulder. I supported them. But when it was my turn and I needed the support from those people that were supposed to support me in that way, because that's partnership, that's marriage, they weren't. They weren't supporting me. They weren't there for me. They weren't holding me up like I was holding them. And it just, it opens up your eyes so much because I know my worth, I know my value, I know what I deserve. And yet I was settling. I was settling in the worst way. I was just accepting of being treated like less. So, I'm back in this position of loving myself or, learning to love myself more and reminding myself of who I am. And I want others to remember that as well. I want others to be like, hey, you know what? I deserve so much more than this. I deserve so much better than this. I deserve to be treated like I'm owed the world because I feel like that's how I treat other people. Like they deserve the world. And I want to give them that. I do that with my kids. I do that with my significant others. I do that with my friends. I do that with everybody around me. And I try so hard to give everybody the world. And I finally to a point where I'm like, damn it, I need the world right now. Like I need the world right now. And that is I think that that's why I try to give so much. Is because I'm not getting, if that makes sense. Like I don't feel like I'm getting what I feel that I deserve. So I keep trying to give more to others. I want to make people feel the way that I want to feel, I guess. If that makes sense. So, yeah, I just and that's me. That's just who I am. Um I love this quote. Women don't need to find a voice. They have a voice and they need to feel empowered to use it. And people need to be encouraged to listen. That's why I started this podcast. I have a story. I have a very long, long story. And I just summarized it, but I'm going to chop it up into pieces for everybody. And I am going to let you guys all hear like the nitty-gritty of it from my point of view. Um and that's what I'm going to do for Naya as well, is give her that voice to tell her story too, because her and I are very much alike in some scenarios, and we suffer through a lot of similar things, trauma, etc. And so, um, so that's why we're here. You know, we want others to feel empowered to tell their story and feel the way that they feel and know that it's okay. It is okay to let it all out. And sometimes, honestly, maybe if people told their stories more often, maybe people would be understanding of the person that they're talking to. You know, I mean, it goes back to like be kind to others, because you never know what that person is going through, what other people are going through. Like, you shouldn't walk around being an asshole just to be an asshole because you're suffering through something. Granted, I understand life isn't perfect and life can suck pretty bad. And there are people who are all going through horrible shit, and some worse than others, but that doesn't give us the right to be assholes to each other. It really doesn't. And, you know, I've had people be royal assholes to me. Royal assholes to me. And damn it, I'm a Scorpio. So I seek revenge. Like, you mess with me, I'm gonna mess with you back. And I've I've tried to work through that a lot, and I've grown. I don't seek revenge so much as I remind people, more so than anything. I remind people, don't forget who you're dealing with and what I'm capable of, because I will come back for you. However, now that I'm 39 years old, I come back for you in a much more mature way than I would have in the past. You know, there are people who have done me so wrong that I'm like, okay, let's play this game. You want to go this route? Let's go this route. We're going to do this. And I've done some damage to people for what they've done to me. And listen, rightfully so, karma's a bitch, you know, a much bigger bitch than I am. I will say that. Karma is a much bigger bitch than I am. Because at this point in my life, I can honestly say like 2023 has been good to me. It has. 2022 was shit. I didn't like it. I wish it never happened, but it did. Because at the end of the day, I'm okay with it happening. I am. Let me take that back. I don't wish that it never happened. I'm glad that it happened, because I wouldn't be where I am today had 2022 not have happened to me the way that it did. Everything happens for a reason. People come into your life for a reason or a season. I live by these things. I live by these things because it's truth. And had 2022 not gone the way that it did, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be working at where I am. I wouldn't be able to take care of my life, my bills, my kid the way that I am today. And I would not be in the mindset that I am in today. You know, I have a whole different outlook on my life and where I want to be in the future and what I'm going to do with my life. I'm still working my business, even though my job takes up about 80% of my time. But um still trying to work my business on the side. And you know, that's why I'm still doing my podcast. I'm still working towards greatness, because if I stop, if I slow down, I'm not going to get the things that I want to have in my life. And what I want in my life is to be able to live comfortably and travel with my kid, get her through school, um, and make sure that her and I have stability. That's what I want. I just want financial stability for us, and to be able to take her on trips and take my mom places. My mom is not young anymore, and my mom has done way too much to help me this past year, to get me through this past year, and start me off with this current year. And because of that, I want to do more for her. I want to make sure she's comfortable and she gets to go where she wants to go before she's no longer able to. I want more for my mom. I want more for my child. I want more for my family in general. I I want to be able to supply for my family in the best way possible. So that's where I'm at. And that's what I'm working towards. And I hope that through this journey, through this process of telling you guys my story and opening up more, that I get to empower other women out there and other young adults and teens to live the way that you want. That's what you need to do. You need to live the way that you want, respectfully. Make good choices in your life. Make smart choices in your life. But go for your dreams and go for your happiness. Don't live for somebody else. I mean, yes, I'm living for somebody else. I'm living for my kids. Like I live for my kids. That's what I've been doing. But that's what you do as a parent. And if you're not a parent and you're not in that position where you have children and you are living for your children, live for yourself. Don't live for your significant other. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be partners when we're in a relationship. That's it. Partners. Build each other up, support each other, but do not live for each other in a way where you're giving everything up for your partner. That's not healthy. I don't care who you are. That's not healthy. You don't give up what you love for someone you love. You work hard to support each other through everything so you can enjoy life together and enjoy the greatest things together. That's what marriage and relationships are. It's a partnership. So, next episode, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't decided yet. It's either going to be part of my story divulged completely, or maybe Naya doing her introductory of herself and her story. I don't know. We'll see. Her and I will discuss and we'll get back. Figure it out. But this is me. This is Danie. And be ready because I've got more to talk about. I have a lot to say, and yeah. So but I mean, just that alone was hard enough to get out. So the fact that it's out now might make it a lot easier for me to get the rest out. We'll see. Thank you again for listening. I hope you come back. And yeah, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are on 4 different channels, 5 technically if you include uh YouTube. I mean, I'm going to try to upload the whole thing to YouTube, but it only allows me so much for some reason. So, we'll see. But yep, that's all I have for today, and we'll see how things go later on. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you again for your support.